Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bottle Rocket. I'm Elena, here with Maeve and Jerry. Today, we're joined by a host of the Cats and Bolts podcast, Rod Pedersen.
So listen, you're in Florida. You cover the Panthers. How have they taken this incredible top to bottom season?
Oh, not well at all. Well, right now it's been 2 weeks since they've played a game since the end of the regular season, and they all just vamoosed. They're hockey people, and a lot of them don't live here, so they got out of Florida. They were ready for the break, Stan. They were ready for the break. It's been 3 straight runs to the Stanley Cup final. They're physically, mentally, emotionally tired and broken down. So they plan to be back, but there was a major sell job within the market to convince the fan base that they will be back next year. Because I don't know how well you know Florida fans, but if you're not winning, they check out. They go follow something else. Yeah, so the Panthers were literally, we'll be back, we'll be good, and I've been part of kind of helping them.
I'm fairly close with Paul Maurice, and I wrote him a note at the end of the season that this season for them is a sabbatical. Sabbatical because their best player is out at the beginning of the season. I mean, that was just, and then it got worse. It got worse from there. And what the hell? They needed a break. Just as you said, they needed. So it's a sabbatical. Now we're going to start all over. My theory has always been no team will ever win 3 cups in a row anymore because of the attrition.
Seems that way.
And they were a wonderful team, wonderful organization, just, a great top to bottom. And so I wouldn't say they didn't deserve another shot at it, but they didn't have another shot because they were killed right at the beginning.
Jerry and Alina, can I just interject with something? And then it's the only time I'll do it this whole interview. A month ago, I was at UBS Arena on Long Island, and I got off the elevator in the press box, or the Stan Fischler media. What do they call it, Stan?
Exhibit.
Something like that. It's a museum.
Yeah.
And there was like a huge quote of Stan's. I didn't know Stan was giving me this interview, so I'm a little starstruck and excited. I've been reading him for years, but it said you have to accentuate the positive. Stan Fischler. And I'm like, wow, I would have loved to have had another hour to ask Stan about that, because that's so far gone. I mean, Stan was ahead of his time in a lot of your writings and the way you did things. And that's kind of where it is now. That's what I'm doing. I found when you do stand out and be positive these days, it stands out because everybody's so negative.
That exhibit sort of was a surprise. A very, very good friend who I've known longer than Al Greenberg, David Kolb, did a lot of, first of all, he was an intern of mine. And like many interns, we remained friends, and he made it into the hockey world. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine before, we were talking about this new word, influencer. Kolb actually was and isn't an influencer. But he was the guy who gave the Islanders the idea of doing this. And I've said to myself many, many times, and not too many people, that this is like one of the nicest things that anybody ever did for me. I mean, it's got my old typewriter, it's got all books, and they just did such a tremendous job. And
I was amazed.
And the other thing is, as Rod put it, you can't miss it, because when you get off the elevator, you're practically forced into the joint. But I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because Kolb and I talking all the time now. This was just a great thing. Great thing. Great thing.
So, Rod, you covering the Panthers, but you are a Tampa Bay fan. What's going on with that jersey?
Well, I host a podcast called the Cats and Bolts podcast, and But I live in South Florida. But the fans here are like, why are you talking about the Bolts? I'm like, because if either team, look at Stan, made a career for years covering all New York area teams. It's the same idea. So the Panthers are done, and I wanted to keep talking hockey. And now we're very excited that the Lightning are going to Game 7 against Montreal. And I busted out some Francais on the podcast this week, and now all the Habs fans love our show. Our numbers went through the roof. So as long as a Florida team's playing, I want to cover it because I like talking hockey. So that's the answer. And the Lightning have been fantastic to us.
Yeah.
Well, but they're very. Stan mentioned how great the Panthers are top to bottom. The Lightning are the same. We're blessed here with the people that that own these teams, the coaches, the players. They treat me so well. It's an honor, and now they hate each other. The Panthers and Lightning freaking hate each other from top to bottom. But when I got here 6 years ago, they were all in it together to grow Florida hockey. It was all fun. And now they brawl every time they play. And I'm caught in the middle. And the fans, there have been fans that are like, put a gun to my head. They're like, pick one. And I'm like, no, I feel like, Stan, you probably lived that years ago. I'm not picking one. I'm for Florida hockey,
You know how lucky you are? You are lucky because you are dealing with two of the best coaches ever in every way.
I know. I know it every day. Yep.
So tell us a bit about your podcast. What's your focus? Is it all Panthers, or do you cover all 32 teams?
Just the two. And again, I don't know how much you know about Florida, Alina, but all the media here, when I first got here, I couldn't believe that the Panthers were like 6th or 7th on the depth chart behind high school sports. And, writers get out of university and their first job is to cover the Panthers or the Lightning. I'm like, wait, I'm come from Canada, man. Like, that is the pinnacle of the pinnacle of the pinnacle. But here was really nothing. So, and I do this show on television in Canada every day. All of that would shock Canadians. But my wife and I at the time, we're not together anymore, but she was a sportscaster. And a few years ago, we were driving across Western Canada in the summer, and we said, we should start a Florida hockey podcast because there's nothing. There's nothing. And at that time, the Panthers weren't very good. So we started it and just it took off. And there was nobody else talking NHL hockey here with any knowledge. I mean, I don't want to say anything ill of any of the other media, but their focus is elsewhere. The second the Dolphins hold a news conference, they're all gone. You know what I mean? And the fans can sniff that out. The fans aren't stupid. So we all say we're hockey first. And they love that. So those are just the two teams that we talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a guest on who was working in the sports department of a newspaper, and he caught hell because he took off out of a girls' volleyball game to go cover the Panthers practice or something, and then came back to the volleyball game.
Well, I assume your viewers are Canadian. This blew my mind when I first got here. The Panthers were playing an exhibition game. This gal and I just started together, and it was an exhibition game. And I'm flipping through the TV channels. I'm like, where's the game? She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, what channel is it on? She goes, it's not only not on TV, it's not on the radio. I'm like, what? This is the National Hockey League. But that's the way that it was. Now, it's not that way anymore. All the games are on TV, but at that time, they weren't.
Well, the amazing thing about the NHL right now is if I asked you to name a weak market, I can't think of a weak market. And the other thing is how the Floridian teams and how teams like Anaheim, and you just go all around. It's a very healthy league, and it's so hard for me to pick a team to root for when I'm writing stuff because I'm buddies with John Tortorella, and I'm buddies with Maurice, and I'm buddies with Cooper, and but I'm rooting very hard for Torts because when he was down in first coaching the Lightning, they won the cup. But before they won the cup, they had a series with the Devils. I was doing Devils stuff, and the Devils this was a Devils great year. We went down to Tampa Bay was in the playoffs, and we were playing them. We were playing the Lightning, and I guess the Devs were up about 2-0, and now we're in Florida and we're attending the practice. And after the practice, we go into the dressing room, right? Interview the players. And all of a sudden, we're walking around. All of a sudden, this guy is yelling, "Get off there!" It was Tortorella, and I committed the great sin of walking on the logo. The logo is, whoever thinks of leapfrogging over a goddamn logo in the dressing room when you're trying to find one of the players to interview, who happened to be Marty St. Louis. But he was the guy, taught as much as anybody, who really helped grow the game, because he made Marty St. Louis into a star, into a Hall of Famer, and Le Cavalier. That was quite a feat, quite a feat.
Absolutely.
So, let's go back to the beginning, Rod. Where were you born and raised? And talk about our connection.
You know all these things, Jerry. You're asking questions.
I
you
know
the
with
answers
this.
to.
And Elena
I'm
have
from a
out-
little farming town, Milestone, Saskatchewan, population 640 people, and I grew up on a cattle grain mixed farm ranch operation. And my dad was a scout in the National Hockey League for 26 years with the Stars, but he was also a cowboy and a farmer. And I grew up, I'm so young. I grew up watching Jerry Teabag Hack playing hockey in the senior league with the Assiniboia Southern Rebels. True
Yeah.
story, Jerry.
Yeah.
And I also read the hockey news and eagerly anticipated every week that would come in the mail, and read Stan's columns and all the rest. So I never fit in that little town at all, because I wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to be a hockey guy. And so the second I could, I took off to Calgary to college broadcast school, and then spent the next 20 seasons in the Western Hockey League calling games, the Canadian Football League calling games. And then once that kind of just tapped out and I'd wrung everything out of that, I came to the States and started doing this. And I think that covers it, when you say, Jerry.
A little bit. I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure that you're going to be the only guest in the entire series of this show that actually saw me play.
That's right. And you sent me your book, and I
Yeah.
read it, and I really, really enjoyed it. And
Keep talking.
well, I knew the names of the players. I knew them personally. The
Yeah.
Darren Bobnicks and the Jim Meisners and the Scott Rays. I was at those games. So I was like, oh, wow, this guy's not bullshit, and he's telling the truth. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
From an American viewpoint, to me, Saskatchewan is unique in a very positive way, the way Brooklyn, I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn is special in America. And I've always gravitated to Saskatchewan guys, even before, well, I wouldn't say before Gordie Howe, but certainly after. And one of my interns, great fellow from Saskatoon, was Ken Juba, J-U-B-A. I don't know whether you know the name. Ken,
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, Ken is one of my guys. And when the Penguins started to get good with Crosby, and they'd be playing the Devils on the day of the game, everybody would crowd around Sydney, because you're supposed to crowd around Sydney. That's what you're there for, but not me. With all the crowd around Sydney, I am interviewing a Saskatoon who played for the Penguins, now became a broadcaster, funny, skinny, tall guy.
Colby Armstrong.
Right. Right. And he was my guy every time they came in, and we had our little act going. I'm interviewing, and I don't know what this crowd is around there, but you're the most important guy in this team. And so we became very, very good friends because he was from Saskatoon.
Well, and all those guys, I mean, per capita, well, Regina, Saskatchewan has produced more NHLers per capita than any other market in the world. Regina, Saskatchewan, but just 40 miles west is the home of Clark Gillies and Chico Resch and all these guys.
Chico's my buddy. Chico
Yeah.
and I have worked together for years. But I have to tell you, my first Saskatoon story was in the 54-55 season. And I'm working for the Rangers in publicity. This is my first job at a college, and a great thing for me for $50 a week to be and go, I'm there 7 days a week. And one of the guys who was in our farm system, we had a farm team in Saskatoon as well as one in Vancouver. And one of my jobs was to get the Saskatoon newspaper, and the Vancouver paper, and clip stories. And this guy comes up from Saskatoon, big husky guy from Guelph, Ontario. Name was Lou Fontanato. So he and I got to be buddies. But one day I asked him early on, I said, "What's it like in Saskatoon, Louis?" And he says, "It's very cold there." I said, "Well, how cold is it?" He says, "Well, we call it a dry cold." I said, "Well, what happens when it's a dry cold?" He says, "Well, your hands can fall off your body, but you'll never know it because it's a dry cold."
True story. We say it all the time, and Jerry's lived it. So you know what, Jerry, you probably heard it all the time when you're in a center. But I just want to say, like, being a Saskatchewan guy, we sit around and talk all the time about who's the greatest Saskatchewan player, and the answer is Gordon Howe. Who's the toughest ever? And Tiger Williams will say Gordon Howe, because there's a lot of tough guys out of Saskatchewan, but Tiger's like, I would have never wanted to fight Gordy. But Clark Gillies comes up, and I just want to say, Stan, that I sat in the stands at UBS Arena 1 month ago, almost to the day, and I looked up at Clark's banner, and I actually started crying in the crowd. And Jerry wouldn't be surprised. He knows me well enough to know that I'm a bit of a softie that way. But when that place opened, Clark was on my show, and he said, "Rod, you need to come down here, and we'll sit in the alumni suite, and they'll treat us the way we deserve," Clark said. And I never made it. A year later, he was gone from pancreatic cancer.
He was easily in the class of greatest guys in the world, and I had the good fortune to be covering the team when he came there, right? Or after the team was created. But my still favorite Clark Gillies story was the summers after he had established himself with Browning Trottier and Clark, Mike Bossy. I did an interview with him during the summer at his home. Wonderful wife. I think they were childhood sweethearts. In any event, the interview wound up being done poolside, because they had a swimming pool, and it was a beautiful summer day. And I was wearing my suit and tie. Clark was in his beach outfit, and finished the interview. And in my head, I said, "I better get the hell out of here in a hurry, because I know what's going to happen next. He's going to dump me in the pool." And Clark, but he didn't. And then I think we did some sort of event about 20 days later, and I said, "You know something? I was afraid you were going to dump me into the pool." And he says, "Well, I was. But when I saw the nice suit you were wearing, I decided..."
He wouldn't have done it. I don't think he'd have done it.
He would have, because
he's got so much respect for you.
He knew. Clark was the kind of guy who knew the difference between a good joke in the right place and a bad joke. What the hell is it going to be with me after he dumps me in the pool? It's a great shot, So I dry off in the bathroom, whatever. Anyhow, loved the guy. Everybody loved the guy.
Of course.
That guy in the Bruins who had his head beaten up by him, Terry O'Reilly.
That's hockey, as they say. Are you okay with all these stories, Jerry? Because clearly we're having a blast. I don't know what direction you wanted to go with this show today. Well, just because Clark told me that, Stan, you're going to have to correct my history on this, but he took the C from Dennis Potvin because Dennis didn't want it. Am I right in that? I believe that was a story Clark said, but it was over 40 years ago, so I can't remember. He said it was too much pressure for Dennis, and Clark took it. And Clark, because I just had to organize parties, it wasn't a leadership role, really. If I'm right, It's been a while
I
since we
did.
saw him.
I ghosted Denny's book. Denny, also one of the greatest guys, complicated, different, but as Chico said, he was the best captain the team ever had, meaning Denny. But Clark was not built to be the captain. He was built to be the maitre d'.
Okay.
And
So it was the other way. I had it backwards. So Dennis took it from Clark. Am I right in that?
well, also Eddie Westfall. It was a complicated thing, and it was a very sensitive thing. And at one point, it almost split the team. Eddie got the captaincy when the team was born, and he was built for that. And but it got to a point, and he decided, with some help from the other guys, to get out, and that's when Gillies got it. And Gillies didn't have it very long because he knew that this wasn't for him. This wasn't for him. So then it went to Denny, and Denny was perfect, perfect. Well, they won 4 cups. People forget 19 straight playoff series wins. Can you imagine?
That's the
that
record, right? That's still a record.
record? Nobody's even close. Not even
Yeah.
Bowman's Canadians. No. So the poor fans in the village of Edmonton have never gotten over that.
Oh no, not at all.
We don't like, as a matter of fact, we like Saskatoon so much that Edmonton is on the bottom of the Western Canadian city list. Winnipeg, right up there. Good one. Love Winnipeg.
Yeah. Well, I love them all, but I like Florida the best.
Were you surprised the Oilers fell off the cliff and lost to the Ducks?
No, I'm surprised they got to the Cup final the last 2 years. To be honest, with the goaltending that they've had and all the problems that they've had, it's an interesting fan base because I kind of grew up an Oiler fan until the day they
It's an
traded Wayne
incredible
Gretzky.
story.
Yeah,
I-
August. Pardon me.
I think this is one of the most incredible stories. You got one of the richest cities in terms of the quality of the fans, the intensity of the fans, and you have this new Gretzky, McDavid, and Draisaitl, and you can't win a cup. Can't win a cup. I mean, you got that. The owner of that team must have his head examined, bringing in people who don't understand. Rod, let me ask you a quick question. Has hockey ever been played in the NHL without a goaltender?
No, you don't need to finish your
But
question.
these dumb cops who run the team, they get second-rate goalies over and over and over again. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And they think that they can do it. I mean, like here in Florida, we got Sergei Bobrovsky and Andrei Vasilevsky. And you just saw with the big cat last night why the Lightning feel he's the best goalie in the world. I feel Bob is, but it's very close. And I think the Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup with Darcy Kemper was bad for the NHL because it made teams think that they could get away with average goaltending. And it's like, you just cannot.
Were you shocked to see the Stars get knocked out by the Wild?
Rewind. Jake Ottinger's got a lot of explaining to do because he let in some softies for Dallas. And I mean, that's a team that my dad worked for 26 years. So I feel bad for them. That's a tremendous hockey market. And I had them picked to win the series. And for Minnesota to win in 6 is a pretty convincing series win, really. I know that there was some double extra time games in that and so forth, but Minnesota was dominant in that series. So that surprised me. Glenn Gulletson, a great Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan product. So I was pulling for him. Their head coach, there's a lot of talent on that Dallas, a lot of talent. Whew, I love
You know
watching
what?
it.
It's tough. It's tough to be a journalist when you're very emotional about hockey. And it's tough when you got friends who are like equal friends. Jim Nill, great guy. And Billy Guerin, a great guy. and I was very, very torn about that. But I'm so happy for Billy, because
Yep.
Billy's another one. Billy was to the Devils what Gillies was to the Islanders, and when the Devils won the first cup, he Billy and I were already good friends, and his parents too. Father was a Wall Street guy, and his mother was from one of the South American countries. She was a professor of Spanish, and I guess 2 days or 3 days after they won the cup, this was the first cup in '95. They had a Billy Guerin Day at the home in Wilbraham, Massachusetts, a small town, and then they had a banquet that night in Springfield, which was not too far. So they had asked me to be the MC, and it was a great thrill. And I said at that time, because he was young and he was feisty, and he had all the ingredients in my mind of Rocket Rashad, and, which is what I said, among other things, at the banquet. But he turned out to be a wonderful hockey player. I would never, ever have dreamt that he would become a general manager. But he had it. He had it.
And they say Patrick Kane's the next one. I just heard Gord Stellick saying on NHL radio the other day that Patrick Kane has the mentality and the intelligence to be the next great GM of the NHL, which I had never really heard before. So I'm looking.
Did
forward to
anybody
that.
hire him?
Not yet. He's still playing, but one day he will be. They say. We'll see.
As a Leafs fan, I'm really curious who ends up as GM. They've interviewed Sandin. Do you think he'd be a good fit?
He'll be a good GM, like Chris Drury is a good GM. He'll never even make the playoffs.
I didn't want to say it. Thank you, Stan, for saying it.
Who's a GM? No? You know who? I'll tell you. I wrote this today. The guy who I would hire as GM is Neil Smith.
Yep.
And he has been overlooked. He's like Nil and Guerin, and these the guys in Florida. Zito, a genius. Guy's a genius. And the guy in Tampa is another genius. And this guy won the cup. Neil Smith won the cup in '94, for crying out loud. But they'll do stupid. They'll do stupid. And imagine the richest franchise in America, not in Canada, that's the Leafs. Richest franchise is the Rangers. Now this guy has struck out the last 2 straight years. How does he keep his job? Because the owner is too busy with his basketball team. That's why.
Good. Paul, listen, I follow your stuff, Stan. Some of the things I've seen your coverage on Twitter of the Rangers, things you've said this year, I'm like, wow. So it tells me how passionate you are what they're doing.
Tell me, Rod, what's the big deal? What are we talking about right now? We're talking about a piece of round rubber, about 6 ounces, goes crazy, and these guys are battling around, and we all get crazy about it. But so what? It's only a sport.
Yes, but what's different now is the teams get so upset, and that's a topic for another time when you criticize them, right? And like I've learned to go with the flow, and that's why I got great relationship with these teams. With the Leafs, Alina, to your original question, I don't think anyone could be successful as the general manager of the Leafs. And I don't know what all your opinions are of Mike Babcock, but he is a good friend of mine going way back to Moose Jaw in 1991. He's a Saskatchewan guy. When they hired Mike Babcock, I said, and that's coach, not GM, but still, I said, if this guy can't be successful there, nobody can. And they've had their most successful years in the last, 25 years post Pat Quinn with Mike Babcock, and they fired him. And they've just been chasing their tail ever since. And there's a lot of players don't like Babs. I don't know. He's been great to me. I don't get into all that stuff. So I don't know who they're going to hire. And John Chayka is the guy. I had friends that own the Arizona Coyotes, and he was their general manager. That he was going to revolutionize the GM position in the NHL because of numbers. It didn't work out there. Nobody's heard of hide nor hair of him for 10 years, and all of a sudden he's in the GM search for the Leafs. Like, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter.
You have to wonder about hockey logic. For example, we use the word retreads. Well, look at Tortorella. He's got them in the next round. Look at the guy in Anaheim, for crying out loud. There's a retread, and look what the heck they did. So it's hard to figure, very hard to figure. And why isn't Babcock being hired now? This guy's a genius also.
Cooked his goose. It's the way you treat people. Like, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've dug into the Tortorella thing, and most people, you said you like him. I've never met him. And by what I see on TV, I think he looks like a raging jackass, but everybody that I know that knows him loves him. And clearly the guys in Vegas do too. You talk about Zito, what I know about Quenneville, because he coached here in Florida. They treat their people with respect. I mean, you can be a genius, but you need to treat people well. And Mike Babcock has not treated his players well.
Okay. But Tortorella is, away from the bench, is one of the nicest, most sensitive. Good. He is so nice that even jackasses love him.
Right. Nobody would say that about Mike Babcock, however. And I don't need to sit here and ask you, Stan, why you've been so successful over a century almost covering it because of relationships. I don't need to ask you because I know.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
I have been successful because of one thing: oatmeal.
That's funny. But I'm just saying, like, because I love these polls that they have. The Athletic does. Nobody does them anymore, but the Athletic does. What's the best GMs in the NHL? And Zito's habitually in the top 2 or 3. And one quote was in there from another team's GM that said, Bill runs that team the way we would all run it if we were in charge. And that is, he lets people know where they stand. He treats them fairly. That's the secret to success. And he has a numbers guy, or did. Sonny Mehta just got hired as the GM of the Devils. Like, I don't know that I would have a numbers guy running my team. If I own a team, I would hire a hockey guy.
I'm going to ask this to Jerry, Elena, and Rod. First of all, one of my all-time favorite columnists who we had on the show a few months ago, Steve Simmons of the Toronto Sun. And he had an item, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, and what he said was he spoke to a number of hockey agents, and they all agreed, the hockey agents all agreed, that the Rangers were the worst run team in the league. And what I found interesting is the fact that agents are saying this. Now, why would an agent say something like that to begin with? But I guess agents are always dealing with these guys.
Right, they have to do business with them, yeah.
So that makes it more authoritative than ever.
Yeah. Well, since we're sharing, can I tell you a story? Ron Duguay and I, and by the way, Steve Simmons was on my show this week, and I love him.
Yes, he's the best.
He's so great. But Ron Duguay and I have become friends, and you've obviously seen he's at war with the Rangers for a variety of reasons. I think if he asked both sides, neither one could really say, but they're at war. He's been exiled by the team. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes, but I mean, who started it?
Well, I don't think either side can remember. I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know, but I think that the guy that replaced him is not in the same class. But Duguay and I go back to right at the beginning. Another one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet.
The best.
Ever.
The best. So when I was there,
how is he feeling? I know he was
good.
Sick.
Oh, he's going through aggressive cancer treatments.
I know.
And I said to him, Dukes, I can't believe how good you look. I said, you've been being told that your whole life, but I really mean it. You look really good. My mom went through the same thing, and she didn't come out of it like you are. And he goes, I know. It's got me and the doctors stumped. We don't know. But they're at the stage now of exploratory, what do you call it? Trial medicines. It's not good. But I said to Ron, I'm sitting here at MSG watching the video the pregame before the Rangers come onto the ice. You're in the video twice. 100 years of Rangers hockey, you're in it. And he texted me back and goes, I don't believe it. I said, well, ask anybody. You're in it. I said, you might want to reconcile this, Ron. And I hope that they do, because he's such an iconic person.
He's as much a part of the Rangers as Mark Messier or Brian Leach, for crying out loud.
Yep.
And through that glorious epoch when anything went and they did all kinds of cockamamie commercials. But who are we talking about? We're talking about the Rangers, right? So it's do wrong, just like the Leafs do wrong.
100%. Sad.
Who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I'm going into the playoffs. I had a Vegas Tampa Bay Stanley Cup, so going into round.
What you want, but who do you think?
No, that's who I. Hey, don't ask who I thought. Going into the season, I said Winnipeg, Carolina. I'm burying that prediction. We don't bring that up. So now going into Winnipeg didn't even make the playoffs. So going into the playoffs, I said Vegas, Tampa. So that's what I would like to see. I mean, the longer the Lightning go, the longer I go with my show. So yeah.
Jerry, who's going to win?
I'm sticking with Vegas. I picked them at the beginning of the year, and I hate them, but I'm picking them. That way they'll lose.
Why do you hate them?
Because they haven't paid their dues. They never went through the process. They were good right away. They got a Stanley Cup contender right off the bat, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to struggle for 5 years minimum, and then you can be a Stanley Cup contender. And the hockey gods just seem to smile on that team like nobody's business, and I can't stand it. It just drives me nuts. I've been 50 years a Canucks fan, and I can't get a cup. Oh.
Perfectly logical, but
and emotional.
I wouldn't have rooted for them or said that. But once a buddy is with the team, you got to root for your buddy. I'm buddies with Torts. I was very sad that Travis Green's Ottawa team didn't at least win one. But I'm afraid, because I don't want them to win it. I'm afraid of Carolina. They got everything, including a second goalie who never loses.
It's going to be real fun from here on in, but it has been fun. Awesome round one. But just with Vegas, when you talk about your buddies, Kelly McCrimmon, I've known since I was 16 years old. When I was in camp with the Brandon Wheat Kings, he was the assistant coach, Kelly McCrimmon. Bobby Lowe's, former Brandon coach, is one of their pro scouts. Jim McKenzie, who you all would know, is a pro scout for Vegas. Like, they're all really good Canadian, sorry to say, guys. Bill Foley, the owner, was raised in Ottawa. And I talked to him as they were building that team. He's like, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to win a Stanley Cup in 6 years. So, I mean, I totally get, Jerry, where you're coming from. That if you ever want to, you know that I work as a mental health and addiction recovery counselor. If you ever want to talk about your feelings, Jerry, as being a Canucks fan, you have my number. I'd be more than happy. That's a damaged fan base. It's sort of like, don't hate them because they're beautiful. It's like people hating Tom Brady, and like, I admire excellence. Vegas doesn't make mistakes. Don't hate them because they win. That would be my thing on that. I admire it.
You have no business telling Jerry what to do and who to root for. I found that out. I found that out. One of my interns turned into a terrific hockey writer, Alan Crater. He ghosted Kenny Morrow's book. We had him on last week. And Alan was living in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And we were talking about rooting. And he told me that his older brother just moved to Jersey. And I said to him, well, will you tell him that now he should be rooting for the Devils because he's living in Jersey? So about a week later, I said, well, did you tell that to your brother? Yeah. He told me where I should go. These guys don't give up their allegiances. And the guy who said it best was the owner of the Devils, Dr. John McMullen, one of the other great characters of all time. When he was being sold a bill of goods to buy the team, Jersey people who root for the Rangers are going to root for your team now, and you're going to have instant sellouts because they all Ranger fans who can't get to games because the games are sold out, who live in Jersey, they're going to come and fill your place. Well, they didn't. So somebody once interviewed McMullen, and they asked him, of course, the Devils started to do very, very well, but they said, how come all these Ranger fans who were supposed to swing to the Devils who live in Jersey haven't rooted for your team? And he said, because it's in the blood. And fathers pass it on to sons, and that's the way it goes. And I can tell you that people that I know who live in Jersey who root for the Rangers because it was passed on to them.
Well, if I may, I didn't tell him who to cheer for. I said, if you ever want someone to talk to about your pain of being a Canucks fan, you have my number. I didn't tell him to not cheer for them. I just don't like seeing somebody upset. He was sitting there wincing, going, it makes me so mad. So I don't like seeing people live that way.
I would be like Jerry if the Americans were still in the league, because the Americans came into the league before the Rangers. The Americans came in 1925, Rangers the next year, and they were a team. They never, 1938, they had a wonderful team because they were getting guys over the hill Hall of Famers like Hap Day on defense, King Johnson on defense, Busher Jackson up front. And they actually should have won the cup this year because they got to the semifinal against the Blackhawks. And the Blackhawks were a team that was under 500. And somehow the Blackhawks beat the Amerks. And of course, then they went out of the league in 42. But I'd root for them.
Jerry and I, we have a backup plan. We're cheering for the Sabres, the wagon.
Yeah.
Why not? But I think we all love how quick their fans were to jump on this. They were all waiting in the weeds. They were all there.
14 years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't go away. They were upset. That's a long time to wait.
Win it. They might win it.
Yeah.
They have talent for sure.
They certainly looked a step faster than the Bruins. Like they just seem to be more crisp and more, more attack oriented than the Bruins were. And it seemed to, that's the great thing. Like we talk about retreads, Lindy Ruff has got that team playing to their potential because he's putting them in the best chance to succeed. You put your strengths against the other team's weakness and it's not rocket science. So it just seems that what they're doing is working. The whole operation has all come together all at once. Down from the cosmos and put it all together all at once, and they just seem primed to go far.
Well, he's finalist for Coach of the Year, which he should be, and in life, they say you can't go back. You're not supposed to be able to go back. And Lindy Ruff went back behind that bench.
What about Q? Q went back and look
different team though. Different team.
Yeah. So yeah. I gotta say, Rod has done more to promote my book than basically anybody else, and he had me on his show twice. And I still say the best interview I've ever done was on your show when we did the first one. And Rod is one of the great interviewers of all time. He puts you at ease right away. And I had to buy the mug.
I love it. Thank you, Jerry.
Well, for prospective young interviewers, what made him and what did he do to make it such a good interview?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He put me, like, I was nervous, because it was one of my first big interviews, right? And it was on TV and everything. And so, but he put me at ease right away, like just by, I think you commented on my shirt or something. And, and just,
how much Johnny Walker Red did he give you?
Well, that point on, it just became a conversation. It wasn't adversarial interview. It was two friends talking, and
Well,
and I,
yeah. Thanks. Sorry to
and
interrupt, but the other thing is because I do work at, in the addiction counseling world, mental health, we're not splitting atoms here. We're talking hockey, as
Jerry.
Stan said, we're talking about this little round rubber puck, but also, Jerry, they opened a brand new, beautiful arena in Assiniboia, and they flew me
yes,
in to broadcast the very first game there. And
yeah,
they said, we need a guest on the pregame. Who would be the best guy to come on? I said, I got him. Teabag.
yeah,
So that was the third interview that we did. That was on
right.
the
We've
radio.
done three now.
Jerry, I appreciate what you said about Rod, but since I'm not talking to him anymore, why don't you ask him when he's going to have me on?
Yeah.
I didn't know we met your standards, Stan. I would love to do that.
I don't have any standards. You know that.
What's going on with the Rod Pedersen show? Is it still on, or is it?
Oh no, it's a long story, but yeah, it's on. The network that carries us is moving to YouTube, and they say that it's a good thing. I said I don't understand why you would do that. So we're airing in Nevada on an all sports channel there. We air in Canada on Game Plus, but they're moving us to their YouTube channel. I don't know. I just show up and talk every day. So no, we're around. The numbers are better than ever. I just go where I'm told and do what I do.
Oh, awesome!
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have Stan on, man. It's Stan is one of the vets. You just wind him up and let him go. It's
If you have me on, you can give me a copy of my book as a gift.
yeah.
Which book? Yeah, I was going to say that. Listen, I stood there and read the whole bio, the Stan Fischler Media Wing. I think that's what they called it, the Stan Fischler Media Wing. And it said you've written 90 plus books.
Okay.
You're going to have to update that. How many books is it, Stan?
How many books?
Yeah.
Including baseball and subways and stuff, I would say about 98.
Yeah. Okay. It said 90 plus on the bio there. So
I just got this one, so
nice.
haven't read it yet.
You got a few to go.
Hey,
Jerry.
Jerry, did you read the one about the goalie I told you about?
I haven't yet. I haven't had time to dig into it yet, but this week I'll be powering through it.
Yeah, I'm still reading the Tales of Brooklyn. I love this book. It's so
Yeah.
good. So many.
Yeah. You want to have a good laugh. Read Tales of Brooklyn. There's a lot of funny stories in there.
I mean, you can hear Stan when you read the book. It's
I bet.
I can even hear your Brooklyn accent in my head when I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Do I have a Brooklyn accent? Why is that funny? I don't get it. What's funny? Brooklyn accent and gets a punchline, gets a laugh. I have a Brooklyn accent. What? Give me an imitation of me with my Brooklyn accent.
George Falkowski, he does a pretty good impression. Yeah.
George. That's what he says.
Yeah. So what's upcoming, Rod? What do you got on the?
I go back to Canada for the summertime. I'm broadcasting in the Western Canadian Baseball League, June, July, August. So I'll be back in your area, Jerry. I love doing that. It's my third season doing that, and just waiting for hockey season to wrap up, and I'll be heading back to Canada, and then be back here next year for season 6, I guess, of following the Panthers and the Lightning and doing these shows. Yeah, that's what it is.
Rod, how often do you have a female as a guest?
Not enough, but probably once every couple of weeks.
What does not enough mean?
We should do it more. It's just the way this show started, and Jerry's been watching it. It's always been, we've done almost 1,800 shows. It was always just Rod and his buddies. And so now as that circle gets bigger, I need to bring in the female. So we do it. I mean, I think it's emblematic of most shows. Trying to get up.
How are they different in terms of their savvy and as a guest than somebody like?
They're great. I mean, the most recent is I had a sports psychologist on by the name of Janice. Jerry's probably seen the clips, and she's working in the emotional health field with athletes, so she's become a recurring guest. I have a lot of the reporters on. Some of my niece is a pro hockey player in Sweden, so I'm just waiting for her to come over and play in the PWHL, which she will. So
Tell me one of the reporters that you had.
Claire Hanna out of Ottawa would be one off the top of my head.
Was she
But
good? As
she was
an
good.
interview?
She was
Yeah.
okay. She said to me in the interview, she goes, "What have you done for women's sports today?" I said, "I'm interviewing you."
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Was she belligerent?
no, I've known Claire a long time. She's been really good to me. No, she was good. But I'm just scanning my mind. Yeah, I have probably like I say, as many as any of the other shows. Same quotient.
We had two ladies, wonderful ladies, Shannon and Molly. They were great to interview. Really enjoyed both shows.
Hmm.
Well, these days the women are so busy. I'm watching AJ Malesko last night on the Tampa Montreal game going, damn, her analysis is really good. I got to get her on. I'm like, she probably doesn't have time. With the condensed schedule this year, I was chasing around Katie Engelson. She's the Panthers TV host, and she was never available. They were always traveling or had a game because they were playing every second day. You know what it's like, Stan. It's not like it used to, man. It's a 24/7 go machine for all of them, male and female. So getting guests ain't easy.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just hoping that finally we would get a female podcast host somewhere along the line, but I don't know.
Why not?
I got that one. Come on, Stan.
I got to get another accent and a Brooklyn accent. Been working on this for 94 years, and now I have to change it?
You just turned 94. I'm embarrassed to say how much I know these things. Yeah, so yeah, investigate a new accent at the age of 94. That's a good idea.
Well, you know why I'm 94, huh?
No idea.
I just told you, oatmeal.
Oh, oatmeal. I was just going to say that. Yeah, sorry.
Brooklyn accent. Wow. You know, now that you remind, my mother had a Brooklyn accent. Yeah. Well, we lived in Brooklyn right from the get-go, so I guess we had a Brooklyn accent. I don't know I don't know how I'll tell you, from my viewpoint, the two worst accents for me, Philadelphia, Boston, and believe it or not, Miami.
Well, I like them all, but I'll tell you what, living in South Florida, I have a lot of New York friends. And a friend the other day was saying, he was something about Caitlin Clark. I'm like, who? Caitlin Clark. Who? The basketball player, Clark. Like, oh, Clark. Sorry. I mean, I could not understand it for the life of me. You know, heart attack. A what? Heart attack? Heart attack. Yeah. Don't tell me you don't hear it, Stan.
We're gonna Elena and I are gonna travel to Florida one of these days, and you gotta introduce me to Roberto Luongo.
He's around all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I gotta meet him before my life is over because I'm a huge fan, and I wear his jersey proudly all the time. So
I think he's the only goal. Well, he's the only goalie in NHL history who leads two franchises in wins.
Yeah, that's right.
Vancouver and Florida. Believe it or not. Yeah.
When you look at his hockey database page, those numbers are absolutely incredible. Like he just, he gets so much, bad reviews in Vancouver, especially because we never got over the hump, but it wasn't his fault. I mean, you look at those numbers and man, he's just first.
He's an icon here. He's an icon here. I guess that's why explains why he lives here. He's the only player whose number's retired by the Panthers. So listen, Jerry, we'll be talking, but you come down, I'll hook you up with the Panthers. We'll get you in the press box, and I see Lou every game. So I'm sure he'd be just as happy to meet you. Yeah.
And Elena.
Yeah, sure.
So, that would be, I would probably die of a heart attack right there. So, but,
heart attack is how they say it in Brooklyn. Heart attack.
In New York accent, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Boston.
Well, that inevitably, I didn't mean it this way because I had another gag, but when we close, I'll tell your gag that you guys inspired by making fun of my Brooklyn accent. So whenever you're ready, cue me.
Well, yeah, we're about
I'm
there.
sure you can
anyway.
handle it. Yeah, exactly.
So this guy from Saskatoon, he wins a contest, a radio contest, a trivia contest, and the prize is a 2-week free trip to New York City. And he's with his friend after they tell him that he's winning, and the friend says, Charlie, don't accept it. He says, what do you mean don't accept it? He says, don't accept it because New York, they're rude people. They'll mug you. They'll insult you. You just don't tell them, forget about it. You'll regret it if you go. But he goes and he gets a suite at the Waldorf Astoria. Never been in New York, but he's thinking of what this friend told him. And he's always worried now. He goes out in the street, he's worried something's going to happen. He finally gets to 34th Street, and 34th Street where the Empire State Building is. You know, it's a big building, once the biggest in the world. So he's standing there, and he's looking up at the Empire State Building, but he's not sure about it. And some guy who's obviously a New Yorker is standing there at the red light with him, and the guy is so nervous about what his friend told. And finally, he turns to the guy and he says, excuse me, sir, is that building over there? Should I just go to hell?
Uh,
All right.
I should tell that joke next week. I get more laughs.
Well, I'll tell you this. We'll end it on this. Jerry, have you been to New York or Alina?
Yeah, many times.
yes.
Okay, well, I was just there last month, and my life coach, Lisa, was raised in Manhattan, but she lives in West Palm, just up the road from me. When I got back, she said, how was it? I said, it was overcrowded, it was loud, and it was cold. And she goes, it hasn't changed. I'm like, no. Yeah. That's why we live here. Yeah.
I love New York. Next time I'm there, I'm going to meet Alan Crater as well. And maybe Lydia, Maeve's girlfriend.
You're going to go to New York? You gotta meet Lydia.
Yes.
Lydia watches this show now when you send her the stuff.
I would love to.
If you get to 34th and 5th Avenue, don't ask if that's the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Rod, we really appreciate you joining us, and to everyone watching and listening, make sure you're following, subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.